Guys, so if you found this video, it probably means you were looking up PMDD or premenstrual dysphoric disorder. Now, I know there's not a lot of discussion about what this is, so as somebody who I realize that I've been struggling with this now for probably close to 2 years, I'm currently 21. When I would go to try to find information on it to feel less alone, there wasn't much. So now that I'm a little more self-aware, I thought I would talk about it because there's not enough discussion, and I think that a discussion would help people to feel less alone. So because I'm currently in the stage where I feel good, which we will discuss more about momentarily, I decided to start this project. So I made this lovely list that the camera probably won't focus on, just so I didn't forget anything, because there is a lot to discuss. So number 1, what is premenstrual dysphoric disorder? So it's a severe form of PMS, but it is different than PMS. One of the main differences is you can still function with PMS, not to downplay PMS. The difference is with PMDD, you can feel so hopeless. You get suicidal, you can't leave bed. Anger, so much anger, and you don't even know why, but there's so much of it. You can act more impulsive. So it's a lot different than PMS in that regard. Instead of getting irritable, you are consumed with rage, like absolute wrath. Instead of being sad or a little teary, you can burst out into tears and cry for hours. 2 weeks ago when I was going through Hell Week, I cried for 5.5 hours straight, hysterically sobbing, and I didn't even know why. And like I said, you can feel very alone with this, so that's another reason why I'm sharing all of this with you. So, unfortunately, we aren't quite sure why this happens, but from what I've understood, it has to do with how our brains respond to a hormone change. In ovulation, the 2 weeks prior to your menstrual cycle, like your actual period, the estrogen drops and the progesterone rises. So when they're both doing that at the same time, our brains respond differently than those who do not have PMDD. One of the things I find most obnoxious is when people downplay PMDD by being like, it's just PMS. Like, I hate to tell you this, buddy, but PMS shouldn't leave me in my bed debating on whether or not to call the suicide hotline. So there's 4 months. Let's say that these two are ovulation. This is period week, and then this is the week right after. I'm currently here. I am in the week after my period. So that's the good phase. On my period and the week after, those are my prime times. Those are the times where I clean my room, I exercise, I, get my stuff done, because I know that during ovulation, I will be a mess. And I kind of baby myself around ovulation just because I know how bad it can get. But when I'm not in those 2 weeks, it's hard for me to almost remember just how bad. So that's another reason I'm visually documenting this. I really want to see if there's much of a difference in how I act, how I talk, how I look. I am in therapy, and I do take Wellbutrin for depression. I just got put on a birth control pill to see if that helps at all, so I've heard some pretty mixed reviews about birth control, whether it helps or makes it worse. From what I've understood, it totally depends on the person, so fingers crossed. Unfortunately, there's no perfect treatment for PMDD, especially because they are still trying to figure it out. I'm not a professional, obviously. I do recommend, if you're able to go and, get into counseling therapy, get some type of a support going. One of my biggest supports, honestly, is an online Facebook group. So don't be afraid to join those, because the people in there, they've got your back. Because one thing that every person with PMDD knows is how isolating this can feel. These videos might only get 1 view, but if that 1 view means helping somebody, then I hope it does. So yeah, welcome to my journey.